guys, Heavy Metal 95 here. Today's episode review we're going to be talking about is another Helluva Boss episode we're going to be reviewing from Season 2, Unhappy Campers. So let's begin. This is Helluva Boss episode, Unhappy Campers. So let's start in the review on Unhappy Campers episode from Helluva Boss. It starts with Blitzo sneaking around a sizable bright building in a sloth ring. He's sneaking under the windows and then climbing over the drain gutter downspout as he opens the window and then tries to open his way just to figure out, and then tries to enter the windowsill at this point as his bighorns gave him a struggle just before as he finally falls inside the room. He looks around, but apparently then a hand holding a taser device shocks him very painfully at the groin below his tail. So the taser was revealed to be in the hands of a nurse who warns Blitzo is that he is not allowed to be in the room despite how sodomizing him several times with a taser at every time he comes back. Then they exchange the insults before Blitzo asks where his twin sister is. When the nurse, revealed to be a rehab therapist, tells Blitzo his sister checked out months ago and she didn't even bother to tell Blitzo about it, which infuriates him. So Blitzo before heads out through the window again, but the nurse, however, warns him that his sister has a new life, so now she's free out of the rehabilitation. But as Blitzo responds by insulting her and calling her a pussy face, just before, which is harsh, before crashing down. Later at the IMP headquarters, as the imp couple, Moxie and Millie, are discussing with a demon sinner who is their potential next client, when Blitzo just returns, he is all bruised and covered in the dirt and brush, and then he leaves after falling out of the rehab building. So Moxie tries to get his attention and calls him about their next client, but Blitzo is very infuriated, was not in the mood, as slams his office door, ignoring Moxie and Millie. The Demon Sinner requested for the IMP to kill a camp counselor who killed him. However, as the client tells Moxie and Millie that he doesn't know who killed him after he drowned in one of his boats because someone has drilled a hole in the camp counselors, always have the keys to the boat, as they know he could not swim as such. As Moxie was hesitant about taking the jab because their policies not allow them to do investigations due to the waste of time and effort. So Moxie goes to ask Blitzo about it, and just how he enters, Blitzo is flipping through his contact booklet to see how and who knows where her sister is, of how this has going on at this point, of course. Still ignoring Moxie through the door, when Moxie tries to explain the situation, but he keeps getting shut down by Blitzo, who is trying to do the way to find the contacts. Despite Moxie's persistence, irritated with Moxie, so Blitzo tells him to handle the case himself and threatens him out of his office. Moxie, as ecstatic, tells the client they'll take the case for the job. Now Millie is hesitant about Moxie leading a case on their job. Then as she asks if is up for the task, and then she about Blitzo, when Moxie reserves that Blitzo is okay with it, much to her surprise. In his office, Blitzo is still searching for his sister, and then he even tries to check her social media job application, but every call he makes ends up nowhere to be found. Then he receives another call from a contact and tells him where his sister is, and hangs up the phone before he runs out of the office, still ignoring Moxie and Millie, and made an investigation wall to determine the killer of their client. When Millie has wondered if Moxie was taking it too far, but as Moxie assured her that it had to be perfect. So Moxie and Millie enter a camp called Camp Ivan Kumar, if I can't pronounce it, in the middle of the summer day. So they each took a disguise, with Moxie disguised as a girl named as Maxine, with Millie disguised as a boy, and his brother as Millard. So as Millie spots one of the camp counselors wearing a trench coat and holding a big sack on his back, so Moxie tries to dismiss the counselor, but as Millie is still dismissive of how Millie's obvious observation, but she didn't want to insist since that she was the first solo case, and she did her best to fit in with Moxie's ideal investigation. As Millie spots a group of 3 teenage girls and tries to blend in by giving them stereotypical adolescent girl talk. As 3 teenage girls are disgusted with Moxie, they insulted him and his disfigurement of being a degrade. Meanwhile, the volleyball was rolling to her, and Millie picked up before. She joined a group of campers playing volleyball, so she plays so well like the other campers, so solitude and her athletic skills, attracting the teenage girls, upsetting Moxie as Millie earns cheers and praise despite accidentally fracturing one of the campers' skulls with a volleyball. Meanwhile, as Blitzo comes to a receptionist about his sister, when the receptionist is clueless of who he is, as Blitzo, in a blind fury and rage, grabs him and holds him violently against the wall and then slaps his face with his tail. He further interrogating him and beats him relentlessly, and the receptionist finally tells him that Barbie is out on the pickup. Back at the camp, as Millie continues to show off her excellent demonic skills and earns a lot of cheers from the campers and counselors, despite accidentally crashing into the camper that is fractured. However, when Moxie is upset because Millie is getting increasingly more popular with her online sensation, and completely dejected, as Moxie reminds Millie they still have the job, but he cannot do the job because of the campers and counselors swooned over her, as insisting on their intention, since as he was supposed to be her sister, as Moxie tries to do what Millie asks at the campfire, and he ends up with singing a horrible campfire song which creeps out the other campers. However, when Millie ends up upstaging Moxie with her banjo playing, greatly upsetting Moxie even more. Demoralized, Moxie cries in shame and hides in the camp lavatory, completely miserable about his friend attempt to get into the camp, into the crowd, as Millie cheers up Moxie and tells him to do the best to investigate. Each day is a disaster, such getting hit by a volleyball, getting attacked by a shark, and getting mauled by a bear, and finally getting to be an outcast, while as Millie continues with her popularity because of how she really did so very popular at the camp, offended her to perform live on stage in front of the local news. When Moxie, he is in the same foul mood as Blitzo ever since he was so angry during his solo work, didn't never go well. He planned, finally, as he vents his frustration at Millie slacking off instead of doing the job of killing the camp counselor who killed their client. In return, Millie vents her frustration at Moxie because he always wanted to do the job his way and not the vice versa. The two of them always get into the heated argument over the responsible of their mishap, just because Millie told Moxie that he could do whatever he wants to do, but let have her moment, and walks off with tears at the same time, as Moxie feels guilty for making her just. He realized how much this chance to shine means to his wife. When Blitzo, endlessly after searching for his sister, came across a dealer and threatens him to find interlock until the dealer gives him of what he's asking for, an Asmodean crystal, of how this has access to the living world. So he opens the door, and just as Blitzo enters the human world, unknowingly just to enter Camp Avon Kuamor, if I couldn't pronounce it, let me know in the comments. When Millie was upset now on stage, she wasn't sure if Moxie is in the crowd watching her. Moxie appeared in front of the audience. She walked up on stage and addressed Millie to the crowd. How much she is proud and grateful, strong, happy in the love of his life. He didn't know he was creeping her out. So Moxie hands Millie the microphone. They gave the performance Moxie how it told Millie that the target is working, if they could figure out. Because this leads back to the cabin, as Moxie approaches to the cabin as he falls on Blitzo, too much to their disgust as well. Blitzo is angry at Moxie because he and Millie are still on the job, as they even been on nothing less of how they came to the cabin and kicked the door down. How it shocks and surprised that they found the sister in the human form. Also, Barbie was also shocked. Blitzo was there too as well. So Moxie was completely confused, and then he asked that if Blitzo could ever, if he knows her for this, if he realized Barbie was his sister. As Millie begins on her performance, as Blitzo started to argue with Barbie, at the same time Moxie tells Blitzo that the camp counselor is the target as much the amusement. When Moxie tries to explain the camp counselor was the target because he killed a client, so as the client wants him dead because of it, much to the disappointment. Just before the camp counselor has confessed the client has found out about the drugs, Barbie dismissed him and told Blitzo that she wasn't going to let him kill her, especially the drug supplier. As Barbie says that she finally got a job and got the chance to escape. Blitzo, on the other hand, has revealed that she seduced the camp counselor to deal drugs. However, as Moxie had enough of their drama, spending a whole week on a mission declaring he will finish the job one way or another. As Barbie is angry and attacks Moxie, so Blitzo ends up getting in a brawl while all three of them are fighting as Millie performs on stage, eventually as the fireworks backfires and flies into the cabin before the camp counselor and blows him up. So Barbie was infuriated that not only was her dealer killed, she was out of the job. She admises Blitzo for ruining her life again. She tells him off before using an Asmodean crystal to open up a portal back right into hell. So Moxie returns on to the stage and apologizes to Millie for being rude to her, so Millie forgives him, and together they end up getting aroused and started having sex on stage, exposingly, which is not in a good way. The pair didn't know that they were having sex in front of the crowd, which is outraging, which is not in a good way, once again, as well. And the news crew, while still under the guise of the being human siblings, meanwhile, back in hell, IMP was wondering the news about Millie's tarnished reputation as a hard intellect. A relationship was very instantaneous, if I can't pronounce it, that she has, which ruined her popularity. Despite that, Blitzo told Moxie that he got the target for his first solo mission, while as Moxie asks if he really means that Blitzo then tells him that he was kidding, and then he's such a disgrace, much to Moxie's sadness and Millie's frustration, as Luna is asleep with her head on the table, completely unaware about the whole thing. And that's how you end the story as well. So, the story was getting well complexed as well, especially for an episode like Unhappy Campers. It's gotten to the whole curiosity. I'm just curious about this episode. Well, the characters we all know, we got especially Blitzo's sister Barbie in that one. Always wanted to be in this episode as well, because, I mean, the music is very well good and well played, although this episode has its moments as well, almost as well, to its own certain thing. But overall, for my thoughts on this episode, well, this episode has gotten a lot of more progression for this as well, because I just wanted to come by for an episode like Unhappy Campers from Season 2 of Helluva Boss, is that I just wanted to come by accordingly for the whole thing on that as well, because if you wanted to tune in for this as well. And once again, Luna appears only at the end of this episode instead of appearing throughout the episode. Like, I don't get it, because she never spoke once again. Just like my previous review on the episode on Western Energy, it also has got to me as well, even though I've already done my episode review on that. Also, there were some how it ruins the relationship between the characters, like Moxie and Millie, going on, particularly on this episode, because despite of how it's getting almost controversial, well, in an almost certain way, but although, as for the character Luna that you see at the end of this episode from Helluva Boss, she never spoke in that episode, just like the episode Western Energy. This all has got to my curiosity, though. Was it because they just wanted to save a little budget? Because, just like how they did with Western Energy? Because, I'm just curious about that one, because I just wanted to come by for that episode. Well, overall, I like most episodes of Helluva Boss in general. If I had to pick my favorite, I would say Spring Broken and Seeing Stars as well. Which it does remind me, I'll cover my upcoming episode review of Spring Broken from the first season of Helluva Boss someday at one point, like maybe around Halloween as well, which we'll get to that for the most part. So that's my thoughts for that one. So my score for this episode, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. Well, it's a good episode. It's alright. I'm just kind of decent with this episode, though, but that's just me, and that's all I got for this one as well. So that's going to be it for my Helluva Boss episode review on Unhappy Campers for today's review. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, especially if you're new to the channel, especially if you're watching this video. Smack the like button if you enjoy the video. Hit the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified also as well for more latest updates. If you missed anything new, if you like as well. And let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think of it? Just let me know. So, that's it, what I have right here. So, this is Heavy Metal 95 saying thank you for watching my video, and I'm glad you liked it. Hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. And be sure to stay safe and stay healthy, and hope you all have a great day. This is Heavy Metal 95 signing off, and thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you soon for more videos. I got a plan for what's in store for more here. Take care. Stay tuned for more surprises that are coming on the way as well. Take care. Goodbye for now.